What's going on YouTube? In this video, I'm playing The Witcher 3 on PC's maximum settings. For those of you only watching to see gameplay, don't worry, I eventually shut up so you won't have to hear any more of my excruciatingly irritating voice. I'm showing a long segment of completely uncut gameplay from early in the game. The main mission is to kill a griffin, but I do a few side quests here and there. I do skip some dialogue because after having been spoiled by games with stellar voice acting like Mass Effect, The Last of Us, and Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't have any patience for uninspired voice acting. I'm playing this game on an Intel i7-4930K CPU and two GTX 980s in SLI. I do get a lot of hate directed towards how I only play at 1080p with my setup. I actually prefer playing across 3 screens or with Nvidia 3D Vision, but I record gameplay at 1080p. Also, my monitors have a refresh rate of 144Hz, which is considerably a better experience than 60 FPS. You can see how many frames per second I'm getting from the Fraps overlay in the top left of the screen. I'm getting excellent frame rates and the SLI scaling is phenomenal. I get at least 95% usage on each GPU, often topping out at 99%. What's even more reassuring about the game's optimization is the efficient utility of video RAM resources. Even in high-speed open-world gameplay, the video RAM usage tops out at about 2.9 gigs. This counters the trend of most recent open-world games, as Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, and Dying Light were pretty video RAM intensive, requiring my cards to run at the max 4 gigs of video RAM constantly. GTA 5 was surprisingly efficient though. I got around a maximum of 3.8 gigs of video RAM usage playing at max settings with FXAA, though the VRAM would have increased if I was using MSAA. 3.8 does seem like a high number, but you have to consider the size, density, and complex geometry of the GTA world. The Witcher 3 able to run a detailed open world at under 3 gigs is a step in the right direction of optimizing modern games. The game is optimized, but I had expected the graphics to be significantly more detailed and system intensive than what we see now in the final release. Except for multiplayer shooters, I don't watch a whole lot of pre-release gameplay because I want each new game to be as fresh of an experience as possible, and I also want to have realistic expectations. I watched a few developer commentaries about The Witcher 3, and compared to some really early gameplay videos, the current game looks, I don't know how else to say it, more cartoony. My impressions from early gameplay was that the game was aiming for a visual design that had more gritty and visceral overtones. Now the game looks like a more polished Elder Scrolls Online. The graphics have simplified immensely. As an example, from some early developmental videos, you could see a lot more individual blades of grass, but now dense grass is represented mostly by textured chunks. So what changed during development? The current generation of gaming cannot get away from controversy, as insider interviews with Witcher 3 developers have revealed the developers purposely handicapping the PC version. And yeah, just like in every one of my videos about game development, some haters are going to be all like, "Herder, no proof, GTFO," so I will post links to the relevant articles in the description of this video. It's like Watch Dogs all over again. The highest graphical settings from the game have been removed. There are some custom .ini settings you can tweak to overcome the default ultramax settings, but those are only subtle differences in distant tree and vegetation density, distant fade-in, and shadow map distance. There are 2 major reasons for limiting the PC version. The first is to placate the console peasantry and make them feel less bad about playing on objectively inferior hardware. Same story, different day, consoles are holding back PCs. The Xbox One and PS4 were already behind the curve when they were released, but you'll never get a console peasant to admit it. It's an inherent problem with haves and have-nots. I'm not going to go into even more detail about console peasant logic because it's just asking for more hate comments, which aren't necessarily a bad thing because comments help my videos get more views, but I'll move on to what is an even bigger reason for handicapping the PC version of the game. No developer wants to have their game labeled as unoptimized. I'm giving a huge warning right now. If you are a sensitive individual, you might want to skip the next few minutes of this video. What I'm about to say is not meant to be intentionally offensive. I'm not directing my next few comments at any specific individual, but the squeaky wheels get the grease. This generation of games is no worse optimized for PC than games from early last generation, but calling games unoptimized has become a way for insecure PC gamers to feel better about their builds. It's like the Battlefield netcode complaints, where people who genuinely sucked at the game blamed the netcode instead of admitting they sucked. It's not most people, and in actuality, most PC gamers are actually playing games instead of bitching about optimization, but I will say again, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The mouth-breathing, easily butt-hurt gamers that bitch about optimization are those who the developers want to shut up when they handicap PC versions of games. The butt-hurt gamers are those who are like, I found the PC build on Reddit where the OP said it was future-proof for Ultra. I spent $400 on my graphics card and you're telling me I can't get 60 FPS on max settings? Your game is unoptimized. It's more important to them that they are able to get 60 FPS on Ultra, which is a completely arbitrary construct. To them, it's not self-validating and they aren't true PC Master Race members if they can't get 60 FPS on Ultra. So basically, developers cater to these gamers and lower the graphical settings required to reach Ultra so they hear fewer moans about lack of optimization. This is a trend that has been going on for a while. For example, in the game Dying Light, people complained about optimization, so the developers released an optimization patch that increased everyone's frame rates by lowering the maximum view distance. This way, more people could run Ultra, but only because the graphical requirements for Ultra were lowered. In short, developers can never win. If they make more detailed worlds with modern graphics technology to push the limitations of modern PCs, then gamers will complain about games not being optimized. If they limit the graphical intensity, then enthusiast gamers who are actually able to play the games at ultra settings will suffer, and graphical boundaries aren't traversed. I won't talk anymore about graphics optimization this video. My rant is over. I promise. I've already opened Pandora's box. I'm bracing myself for the backlash, but I will make another video where I talk exclusively about the misperceptions of game optimization. I'm still very early in the game, but The Witcher 3 has been an engaging gameplay experience thus far. It's very easy to lose yourself, in the good way, by just exploring the open world and leveling up your character. The combat isn't as good as Shadow of Mordor's, but it keeps you on your toes and rewards skill-based play instead of button mashing. The crafting system is deep and it's worth your while to develop. If you just try to speedrun the main quests, the game will get very hard very quickly because you haven't received gear or skill points to match the difficulty of the quests. You will definitely get more out of the game by taking your time to become immersed. The lore is fascinating and deep. The story is worth following, but the voice acting leaves a lot to be desired, especially compared to games like Mass Effect and The Last of Us. Once I beat the game, I will make a complete game review video. Thank you very much for watching my graphics analysis and first impressions video, and thank you for putting up with my rant. I really don't want to make a lot of these negative videos, but somebody has to call out the gamers that don't know anything about what optimization is or isn't. But leave a comment on how you're liking The Witcher 3 so far. My name is David and I will see you next video.
A few years ago we had trouble, drowners under the bridge. The whole village had to pitch in for a witcher. Who now can afford the bounty on a griffin's head?
Captain Peter Sars, something.
Ah, good to know the Black One's looking out for our welfare.
Nilfgaard values one thing. Order. Griffin's disturbing that. It's gotta go.
Yes. First they'll tend to the monsters, then to the folk.
Not from here, are you? A lot of bitterness in you. Too much for someone who's spent her life in a hut in the middle of nowhere.
True. And you're in a hurry. Elsewise you'd not use bait, just wait for the griffin to attack again.
Believe we could have an interesting conversation.
Maybe next time.
Anyone home? Must be out hunting. Trail's fresh. Mislav just left home. You, Mislav?
Shh! Hear that?
Wolves? No. Wild dogs.
Yes. More dangerous than wolves.
I'm hunting bigger game. The Nilfgaardians the Griffin killed. Where'd you find them?
Ah, I see. You a witcher. That monster slayer they's talking about in the village. I'll show you, sure. But, I gotta kill those mutts before they hurt someone. Will you help? That is, if you don't mind blunting your silver blades on them.
Sure. Griffin's not going anywhere.
No. Dogs might, though. So step careful now. Come on.
These dogs been a problem for a while now?
Since the war started. Soldier on the march. He'll stop to rape a woman, strangle her, kill her man for a chuckle, even butcher a cow. But a dog, a kick in passing, no more. So these stray mutts form packs. They're gaunt, guts stuck to their spines, covered in scabies. They just won't die, because they're clever. More so than foxes. And they hate them too. Attacked another one. Dieter.
You know him?
We served at the Lord's Manor together, where the Black Army's encamped now. He was a stable hand, I was the Lord's hunter. But that was before... well, a long time ago.
Sorry. Hope you weren't close.
No, not at all.
So, can you show me where you found the Nilfgaardians? Griffin, know anything about it?
Not my kind of game.
You're his kind, though. Survival instincts alone ought to make you care.
I walk silent through the woods. No griffin can hear me nor spy me. Was here. One lay there, by the stump, headless. The other hung from a branch, guts splayed, stretching down to... Watch out for yourself now.
Nothing to mourn. They were Nilfgaardians.
They were lads, like ours, just clad in black plate. Good hunting now.
Nilfgaardians were celebrating. Griffin interrupted them. Ground's black, saturated with blood. A camp. These prints are older and deeper, heavily armored. Nilfgaardians, probably. Griffin's nest. What remains of it, at least. Corpse is a couple of weeks old. Still alive when the Griffin brought him here. Took a long time dying. Horse, dog, human. A few months' worth. Female. Larvae in her wounds have already hatched. Been dead at least a week. Other Griffin must be a male. Beak tips worn. Gray hairs in the coat. 10, 12 years old. Griffins pair off for life when young. Male must be about the same age. Deep cuts over the whole body. Not a drop of blood on the beak or claws. Didn't defend herself. Crept up on her while she slept. Thick shaft, dense barbs. Royal Griffin. Explains why the male I ran into was so aggressive. Hunted the Nilfgaardians down here in the forest first. then started prowling the area. Medallion's humming. Place of power, it's gotta be.